The bell above the cafe door had barely stopped ringing when I felt it. That strange tightening in my chest, the instinctive panic that crawls up your spine before your mind catches up. My purse. I had left it on the chair by the window. Turned back. That should have been the end of it. Forgetful moment. Quick laugh at myself. But as soon as I stepped inside again, the air felt wrong. The warmth drained out of the room, like someone had cracked a window in winter. Conversations hushed. Cups paused halfway to lips. And then the manager looked at me. He didn't wave. He didn't smile. He walked toward me slowly, deliberately, as if every step mattered. When he reached me, he leaned close, too close, and whispered something that would fracture my life into a before and after. "Watch this security video," he said. His voice trembled. Then after a beat. "But not here." For a second, I thought I'd misheard him. I laughed awkwardly, already scanning the cafe for my purse. "What?" His eyes flicked to the counter, to the barista, to the corner table where a man in a gray coat sat pretending to scroll through his phone. The manager straightened, his face rearranging itself into professional calm. "You forgot your purse," he said loudly, handing it to me. "Have a good day." But as my fingers wrapped around the leather strap, his thumb brushed my wrist, an intentional touch, and I felt a folded receipt pressed into my palm. Office. Back door. I walked out with my heart hammering so hard it drowned out the traffic. 10 minutes later, I was standing in a narrow office that smelled of burnt coffee and disinfectant. The manager, Ethan, his name tag said, locked the door behind us. "What is this about?" I asked, forcing steadiness into my voice. Instead of answering, he turned his computer monitor toward me. On the screen was a paused frame from the cafe's security camera. The timestamp was from earlier that morning, when I had been sitting alone by the window, stirring my coffee, lost in my thoughts. "Press play," he said quietly. The video rolled. I watched myself on screen, tired, distracted. My shoulders slumped the way they'd been for months now. Since the layoffs. Since my husband Daniel had started coming home late. Since my life had begun to feel like something I was observing instead of living. Then someone entered the frame. Man. He moved with confidence, like he belonged anywhere he stood. He stopped near my table, pretended to check his phone, then, so smoothly I never noticed, he reached into my open purse. I sucked in a breath. He stole something. Ethan didn't answer. On screen, the man didn't take money. Or cards. He slipped something into my purse. My knees went weak. What did he put in there?" I whispered. Ethan paused the video, zoomed in frame by frame. The object was small. Black. Rectangular. "A tracker," he said. "Or a recording device. Hard to tell." The room tilted. "No," I said. "That's not possible. I would have noticed." "Most people don't," he replied. "That's why he picked you." I shook my head, denial clawing its way up my throat. "Who was he?" Ethan hesitated. "That's the part one wasn't supposed to show you." My pulse spiked. "Why?" "Because he comes here a lot," Ethan said. "And last week, he was with your husband." The word husband landed like a slap. Daniel. My Daniel. The man I had trusted for 11 years. The man who kissed my forehead every morning even as something invisible pulled him further away. "You're wrong," I said automatically. "I wish I was," Ethan replied. He typed quickly, pulling up another clip. Different day. Same cafe. Daniel sat at the corner table, leaning forward, laughing softly. Across from him sat the same man in the gray coat. They looked familiar, comfortable, like co-conspirators. My stomach twisted. "I didn't show this to you for drama," Ethan continued. "I showed you because when I tried to report it, my supervisor told me to delete the footage." My blood ran cold. "Delete it?" He nodded. "Said it involved sensitive parties." "Then this morning when I saw him drop that device into your purse, I knew." "Knew what?" I whispered. "That you weren't supposed to find out," he said. "And that if you did, things could get dangerous." Silence swallowed the room. I looked down at my purse on the desk, suddenly feeling like it was alive, watching me back. What should I do? Asked. Ethan met my eyes. First, don't go home. And in that moment, I realized the life I thought I had might already be over. And someone somewhere was watching me discover it. The vibration was soft, almost polite, but it sent a jolt through my entire body. I stared at my purse like it had just whispered my name. Is that? I began. Yes, Ethan said. That's not a phone notification. My hands trembled as I slowly opened the purse. Everything looked normal. Wallet, keys, a crumpled receipt, my lip balm rolling free. Then I felt it. Tucked into the side pocket, taped flat against the lining. A device. I peeled it away, my fingers numb. It was smaller than I expected. Cold. Unassuming. Like something you'd lose between couch cushions. Not something that could unravel a life. I feel sick, I murmured. That's a normal reaction, Ethan said gently. What's not normal is someone you love letting this happen. The words cut deeper than he intended. Could my husband really be involved? I asked, even as every memory of the last 6 months replayed in my mind. Daniel guarding his phone, unexplained business trips, his sudden interest in my schedule. I don't know the full story, Ethan replied. But I know this. The man in the video isn't small time. He's connected. Connected to what? Ethan exhaled. Private investigations. Corporate surveillance. Sometimes worse. A bitter laugh escaped me. I'm an unemployed project coordinator with a failing marriage. What could I possibly be worth tracking? That's what scares me, he said. I didn't go home. Instead, I checked into a cheap motel on the edge of town, the kind with flickering lights and carpets that smelled like old rain. I sat on the bed, the device sealed inside a plastic cup on the table, and tried to breathe. Called Daniel. He answered on the 3rd ring. Hey. Everything okay? His voice was calm. Come. Where are you? Asked. At work, he said without hesitation. Why? Closed my eyes. I forgot my purse at the café today. Was. Barely a second, but it was there. And, he said. I went back, I continued. Something strange happened. Another pause. Longer this time. What kind of strange? He asked. I imagined him somewhere, maybe not at work at all. His jaw tightening, his mind racing ahead of mine. Never mind, I said quietly. I'm just tired. I'm staying with a friend tonight. That's sudden, he said. You didn't mention. I'll explain tomorrow, I cut in, then hung up before he could respond. My hands shook so badly I dropped the phone. That night, sleep came in fragments. Every sound outside the motel room made me flinch. At 2:14 a.m., my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. You forgot something today. My heart pounded. Another message followed. But you came back. That was unexpected. I stared at the screen, cold dread pooling in my stomach. Who is this? I typed, then deleted it. I didn't want to give them anything. Instead, I powered off my phone and sat in the dark, hugging my knees, finally letting myself cry. Not loud, dramatic sobs. Just silent tears sliding down my face, grief leaking out of me for the woman I had been that morning. The woman who thought forgetting her purse was the worst thing that could happen. The next day, I went to the only person I trusted besides Ethan, my older sister Mara. She listened in silence as I told her everything, her face growing tighter with each word. When did Daniel start acting strange? She asked. After I lost my job, I said. He said he was handling something important, for our future. Mara scoffed. Men always say that when they're hiding something. Do you think he's cheating? Asked. She shook her head slowly. No. I think he's using you. The words felt brutal but right. For what? I whispered. Mara leaned forward. Your past projects. The companies you worked with. The data you had access to. A memory flashed. Daniel asking casual questions about my old clients, my passwords, my archived files. I thought he was just being supportive, I said weakly. That's what makes it betrayal, Mara replied. That evening, Ethan called me. They know you saw the video, he said. My breath caught. How? My supervisor was fired today, he said. And the footage? It's gone. Fear tightened around my ribs. Ethan, what do I do? There was a pause on the line. Then he said something that shifted everything. You stop running, he said. And you start watching them. As he explained his plan, something unfamiliar stirred inside me. Not just fear, not just pain. Resolve. Because if someone thought I was weak enough to be tracked, lied to, and erased, they had no idea who they had just awakened. The irony wasn't lost on me. For weeks, someone had watched my movements, listened to my silences, tracked my life like a spreadsheet. Now, thanks to Ethan's quiet rebellion and a contact of his who specialized in counter-surveillance, the tables were turning. The second device rested beneath my shirt, warm against my skin, feeding data not outward, but back to us. Whatever you do, Ethan warned, act normal. So I went home. Daniel was in the kitchen when I walked in. His smile a little too quick. His relief a little too rehearsed. He hugged me, held on longer than usual. I was worried, he said. I breathed in his familiar scent, soap and something sharper beneath it, and realized how easily love can blind you. I know, I replied softly. I'm sorry I scared you. His phone buzzed on the counter. I watched his eyes flick toward it. Over the next few days I played my part. I cooked, smiled. I pretended not to notice the subtle shifts. Daniel stepping outside to take calls, checking my purse when he thought I wasn't looking. Meanwhile, the data flowed. Ethan traced the signals to a shell company linked to corporate espionage. My old firm had been under investigation for months, and someone believed I still had access to information worth millions. And Daniel? Yes. Ethan's voice was heavy. He sold you out. The words hurt, but they didn't break me. Because something else had grown in their place. Strength. The confrontation came sooner than I expected. One night, Daniel sat across from me at the dining table, his face drawn. They know, he said quietly. I set down my fork. Know what? He laughed bitterly. Don't do that. You were never this bad at pretending. Silence stretched between us. Why? Finally asked. Why me? He looked at me like I was a puzzle he'd grown tired of solving. Because you trusted me, he said. And because you were already falling apart. The cruelty of his honesty stunned me. I did it for us, he added weakly. For our future. I stood up, my hands steady. No, I said. You did it because you thought I was disposable. His eyes widened as I reached into my purse and placed the first device on the table. I know everything, I said. And so do they. The color drained from his face. 2 weeks later, the investigation went public. Arrests were made. My name was cleared. Daniel disappeared from my life as suddenly as he had betrayed it. I stood alone in my new apartment, sunlight streaming through bare windows, breathing deeply. I had lost a marriage, job, an identity I thought was permanent. But I had found something far more powerful. Myself. Sometimes I still think about that moment in the café. The forgotten purse, the whispered warning. How close I came to walking away ignorant and unchanged. And I realize now. I didn't forget my purse that day. I forgot how strong I was.